If your business relies on phone calls, you'll know a lot of time is being spent repeating information and processing repetitive requests. So what if every call could be answered, logged, and resolved without lifting a finger? In this video, I'm building an AI voice assistant for AAA Roadside Assistance. This system doesn't just handle calls, but it also logs requests, updates calls in real time, and does it all faster than any human team ever could. I've built AI voice agents for industries like HVAC, real estate, travel, plumbing, roofing, you name it, automating thousands of calls and requests completely, creating a better experience for the customer and helping save a lot of time. If you are yet to experience these AI voice agents, here is a quick sample of what we will be building today.
Hello, this is Emily from AAA Roadside. How can I help you today?
Hey, you've actually had a big car crash.
Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you and everyone involved okay? Your safety is the most important thing right now. Let's get you the help you need. Could you please tell me your first name and how to spell it?
There are going to be two main components for this automated voice agent. The first will be capturing request details. For example, locating where a customer needs assistance and collecting their first and last name. Once collected, this data will be sent into Google Sheets to track all of the requests. Now, obviously, if we were connecting this to an actual fleet system, we would want to assign each request with the closest fleet vehicle that was available. But in this case, we will assign a random vehicle. This vehicle will be notified of the request immediately. So jumping right into it, this is the retail AI platform. This is the sort of main AI voice agent builder where we're going to be building all of the instructions and automations and connecting everything together here on retail. So once you've got your account up and running, I'm just going to go ahead and click create an agent in the top right, hit the single prompt agent, and then start from blank. Once you've done this, you're going to land on a page that looks like this. And this is our main builder for controlling everything to do with the assistants. So in this case, we can go ahead and just change the name to whatever we want. So in this case, I'm going to call it the AAA Roadside Agent. So this is for a roadside assistance company. So this is really a demonstration of what's possible with these voice agents. In this case, for the roadside assistance, this is going to be a system where you call it up. It's going to obviously take your information. It's going to understand what your issue is, and it's going to log that request. And in a real world scenario, this is where the request would be obviously sent out to a fleet vehicle to be notified of your assistance and your needs to be helped. And it's going to go ahead and obviously process that request, and you're going to receive the help you need. So that's sort of the purpose of this agent. That's how it's going to be structured. I'm going to get right into building it. So the first thing that I'm going to do in building this agent is go down to the prompt here, which is the main big box, and I'm going to paste in a little bit of a template that I like to use in all my builds and getting started in all my builds. And this just covers all of the main criteria that we want to include in our prompt. So to get started in building our prompt here, I'm going to start with the role, which is at the top of my little template. And what we're going to do is just base the entire persona of the assistant. So this is where we're just going to instruct the assistant to get an understanding of who it is, what its purpose is, what its goal ultimately is going to be. And in this case, it's going to be obviously a roadside assistance. It's for this particular company, and it needs to provide assistance and log details. So I might say you are Emily, you are a support or a phone support assistant for AAA Roadside. You are friendly and supportive customers over the phone who need and capture their details for. So super basic. It's really just detailing who the particular assistant that we're creating is. It's giving it an understanding of who they work for, giving it a brief understanding of their objective. We're going to go more into details in the actual task, which is the next section. But we're just saying, look, you're going to be capturing some details. You need to be friendly. This is the company you're working for, and you're just basing very general understanding of who it is, what it needs to do. And we can do that just by a couple of sentences. For the next part, we're doing the task, and the task is a little bit more detail on the actual, obviously, task at hand. So this is going to be the capturing the details and then sending that off in a request, because that's going to be the main thing that's going to be happening here. We're going to be capturing the name, the address, location, a couple of details. I'm just going to be sending that information off for the rest of the team to process through the systems, and then obviously send out a fleet vehicle in the real example. So the task in this case is going to be obviously doing that. Your task is to assist getting roadside. You are a critical part in, you will collect their information and situation. So there we go, a couple of sentences. Your task is to assist customers in getting roadside help. You are a critical part of them receiving assistance, and you will collect their information and situation. So obviously in this case, they could have a multitude of different things that go wrong, whether it's a flat tire, burst tire, something has happened to their car. It's broken down a whole different types of areas that could go wrong. So we've just said information and situation are the two main things we want to capture. And then we're going to go into the specifics for the particular bits of data that we're looking to actually extract. So we could say the first thing you need to collect is their situation. This could be a flat tire, smashed car, broken engine, etc. This is why they have requested our assistance. Once this is collected, please ask them for their first name and how to spell their, for example. So I've just quickly typed out, first thing you need to collect is their situation. This could be a flat tire, smashed car, broken engine, etc. This is why they have requested our assistance. Once this is collected, please ask them for their first name and how to spell their first name. Now that's a little bit of a critical part because when we're using these transcribe models on these AI voice agents and we say your name, so if I said my name, Brendan, and I didn't actually tell it how to spell my name, in many cases, it is possible and very likely for it to just not capture the name correctly. And we can obviously repeat it back to them to confirm that, but just to make it a lot quicker, a lot smoother. And what typically happens on calls anyway, is that you'll just spell out the name for them. So if you say that your name is Brendan, you'll just say, that's my name, Brendan. And then pretty much every time you read it out like that, the transcriber is very good at getting the name. So as soon as you just say your name and spell it out for the assistant, it's very good at getting accurate captures of the name. And then obviously we can repeat it back to them after that as well. So we're really confirming it and locking that in. Once collected, please repeat their name back to them. For example, and I've just put my name and I've spaced it out just like this in all caps. And this is how we're able to at least help alleviate. This is how we're able to sort of slow down its speech when we're actually repeating characters. If we were to do it really any other way, it might be a bit too quick. And in this case, we're able to have it go Bren rather than really quickly speaking it out. So this so far for this particular model that I'm using works really well. It's possible that if you're using a different AI model, this can all change. So this is also a big note. If you are using a different AI model, some of your prompting techniques might not work the same. So if you're using some of these other models from Anthropic or you're using even a different open AI model, the way that these AI models are trained is that they've just got different sets of data or different amounts of data that's they're trained on, and they just respond differently to different prompts. And it just means when we're building these prompts, make sure that you build it all for one prompt and you don't change the AI model because it's going to respond completely differently. So make sure you choose the one you're looking for and you run all your tests on the right AI model. But once we've got the first name, we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing for the last name. So I can just copy this. Once this is collected, please ask for their last name and how to spell their last name. Once collected, please repeat their name back to them, for example, and I could just put through my last name. And in this case, once again, it's going to do the exact same thing. It's going to ask for their last name and to spell it out for you, or just you spell it out. Obviously do that letter by letter, captures it very well, repeat it back to them, and you've confirmed it, and there you go. So I'm just going to leave it with that as the information we're going to be collecting. In the real case, I believe they should be able to detect a phone number for a particular user that's for AAA Roadside Assistance. So essentially the caller calls up. What we can do is actually automatically have the phone number, and we can use that phone number to identify if they are essentially a registered user for the services. And then if not, we could have a condition that then asks them for their member number, things like that, that you would have in a typical call like this. In this case, I'll just show you obviously the purpose of collecting information, storing information, and sending it through the system. And so we're just doing 3 different variables. We've got the situation, we've got the first name and the last name. The next part of our prompt is going to be context. Context is pretty important for more niche areas of these voice assistants. So if you're building out an assistant for a business that isn't very standard, obviously roadside is pretty typical, and it should have a great understanding as to what that actually means for getting the assistant to be good enough to be able to prompt and talk to the user in a way that makes sense for helping somebody with roadside assistance. But we will still go ahead and add in some context. So context is just about the business and about what they do. So this is sort of some knowledge-based information, but it's a little less information, just to give it enough to understand the company and understand why it's doing what it's doing. And you'll see that this really helps accuracy in the long run. When you add more questions, people ask objections, people ask random questions. This is where we can really refine this area and start to get into some proper answers coming through because we've given it more context. So I've quickly just gone to ChatGPT and just generated a bit of a description for AAA Roadside Assistance. Obviously, this is a pretty popular company in the US and Canada, as it says, for providing these services. And it's just gone ahead and said AAA Roadside Assistance provides emergency services like towing, battery jump starts, flat tire changes to members across these countries. Membership plans offer varying levels of coverage, including lockout services and fuel delivery. AAA also offers additional benefits like discounts on etc. etc. So this is just, once again, giving it some context as to what the business does and why it's doing what it's doing, and also helping out with obviously the different services. So towing, battery jump starts, flat tire changes, and things like that. Just gives a little bit more context for when we're speaking to the assistant. If we were to say, oh, we've got a flat tire, it might then change its wording and say, okay, well, we're going to come over and actually going to change that tire for you. And it's just obviously giving it the understanding that they are some of the services that are provided. They can also offer any assistance for the different services that are provided if you want to use this voice assistant in a different way. And then once again, for what we do, I've just added in a little bit more information that I've just generated from ChatGPT. What we do, emergency roadside assistance. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance to members, covering services such as towing, battery jump starts, flat tire changes, fuel delivery, lockout services, mechanical repairs, etc. Members can request assistance via phone, online, or through the AAA mobile app, etc. Just a bunch of random information about the company, giving it a little bit more context. Obviously, you would want to refine this if you're building it for your own company or another company. This is pretty much giving you the understanding of just putting information in here, giving it context. And in this case, we've just put this in here. And now lastly, for the notes, this is really for refining, and this is really for testing and adding in things later on. For the notes, we're not going to add anything at the moment. This is going to be once we start to call it, get a good understanding of how it's responding, and then we'll throw in some notes if we think there are some tweaks that we want to make later down the road, as well as obviously just modifying what we've currently built. So make sure to hit the save button in the bottom, and now we can start to test it. But before we do so, I'm just going to go ahead and add in a welcome message. This is really what initiates the call. So in this case, a retail provides 3 different ways to initiate a call. The first one is AI remains silent until the user speaks first. That is the default setting, although in this case, I'm just going to have it actually initiate with a begin message. So the bottom one there, we can just have it say, hello, how can I help you today? Obviously, we can modify this to say, this is Emily from AAA Roadside. And we'll just see how that sounds, and then we'll make some modifications based on this.
Hello, this is Emily from AAA Roadside. How can I help you today?
Hey, I've actually got a flat tire and I need somebody to come out immediately.
I'm so sorry to hear about your flat tire. Don't worry, we're here to help. Let me gather some details so we can get someone out to you as quickly as possible. Can I start with your first name, please? And could you spell
John.
that for me?
And it's spelled
Thank you, John. John, let me confirm the spelling John. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Great, thank you, John. Now, can I have your last name, please? And could you spell that for me as well?
Yeah, it's Smith, so Smith.
Thank you. Let me confirm the spelling Smith. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect, thank you, John Smith. Let me get the rest of the details so we can send help your way. Could you please tell me your current location and any landmarks nearby?
So there you have it. That actually worked quite well for the first test. It went through and captured the particular bit of information, which was the situation. It went straight into capturing my details, so getting my first name, my last name, and then it also obviously offered to get some locations and landmarks for nearby areas. Now, if I wanted to include that, I would want to obviously include that properly and not have it rely on the prompting to just figure that out. So I can go ahead and add that in if I'd like. So we can just go to the specifics, and if we want to ask for location, we can just say, once this is collected, please ask them for their location. Now, this is obviously a little bit difficult for capturing the location. In this case, people might not know their location for AAA Roadside, and that's why it sort of asks for landmarks and things like that. So we can do something similar. Please ask for their location. So I've just added in, once this is collected, please ask for their location and or nearby landmarks. Once collected, please repeat it back to them to confirm.
Hello, this is Emily from AAA Roadside. How can I help you today?
Hey, you've actually had a big car crash.
Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you and everyone involved okay? Your safety is the most important thing right now. Let's get you the help you need. Could you please tell me your first name and how to spell it?
So once again, we've done another test there, and the first question it asked was obviously if we were okay after the car crash. So that is actually pretty good for it to actually ask that question. In this case, that's maybe something we want to add in as well. Now, I'm not going to add in a bunch of things here, but obviously the testing process is one that is very much ongoing. Within our agency, we spend quite a few weeks doing these tests because we get real live data, we run automated tests, and we do a lot of work on testing and refining these to just add in every condition that we can possibly think of to have it as a very smooth assistant that can handle all of these different types of inquiries. There's obviously many different situations. People can be in serious car crashes, and some people might just have very small issues. And we need to be able to handle these types of different inquiries. Maybe we want to redirect them to obviously calling emergency services rather than just getting a tow truck and things like that, things that we want to include into these assistants. And the only way to really build on these prompts and continue to make this a better and better assistant is just getting real feedback and just testing these assistants and just working and running test calls. So the next part of this voice assistant will actually be sending off data. So sending off the name, the last name, and the location, as well as their situation, off into a Google spreadsheet to be recorded. And this is really a demonstration of how we can connect this to multiple different systems. So we're going to be using Google Sheets in this example, but we can connect this to any platform out there, any CRM system, any custom system through any webhooks. We can do all of this through these custom webhooks. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the functions. So functions in retail is how we're able to communicate data across different platforms. And this is essentially a webhook. So if we click on add here and we go down to custom function, This set of settings is what's going to allow us to send information out and also retrieve information back from particular requests. So all we need to do is fill out these details. For the name, I'm just going to say job request because we're requesting a job, of course. Description, we're just going to say trigger this once all information for the job has been captured. URL of the custom function. Now this is where we're going to put in a make.com webhook URL. So if you aren't familiar with Make or Zapier, these are automation platforms where we can connect something like retail. It's like a custom webhook and connect it to thousands of different applications. So I'm going to jump straight into make.com. This here is essentially the main dashboard that they have where you create scenarios. If you aren't familiar with it, there are many other videos out there that teach you a little bit more about building these systems and these automations on Make, but I'm going to be building a pretty simple assistant here, so you might get a good understanding anyways. So just go ahead and create a new scenario. You're going to land on a page that looks just like this. And what we can do is go right away to the webhooks at the top here. And this is going to be a custom webhook. So when you click into these different applications here, there are different actions and triggers that can occur if you're going to be sending an email, receiving an email, things like that. We can control everything through Make. It's really just an automations platform about data. So we're going to be manipulating data, sending data, retrieving data. It's all about just sending information from one place to another. In this case, we want to send data to Make, and that's what the webhook is for. So we're going to click on custom webhook, going to go to the add button, and we're just going to be creating a new webhook. In this case, we might just type AAA Roadside, and that's going to be our webhook name. You can put anything. It doesn't matter what that is. That's for your own identification. Click the OK button, the purple OK button at the bottom there. Make sure to do that to save it. Head back to retail and then paste it in the URL page. Then the next thing we're going to do is come down to the parameters here. And this is what we're going to be using to send off particular bits of data and actually extract information from our assistant and from our conversation that is occurring. We can go ahead and click on example 3 down here, and this is going to give us access to a couple of different properties. Properties are essentially, like I said, just then the bits of information that we're pulling through. So each bit of information is a property. So the first name is a property, last name is a property, the situation is a property, the location is a property, and we can do that all through this JSON request here. So don't worry about all of this formatting here. Just go through and essentially replace the values that we want. In this case, the first one is an appointment. So that's just the demo that they had. In this case, I'm just going to type the situation and then we need to describe it. So this is the situation the caller is in. For example, why they need assistance, i.e. flat tire, broken engine. And that should be good enough to capture the information we're looking for. This is the situation the caller is in. For example, why they need assistance, i.e. flat tire, broken engine. That should be enough for the AI to look at this and get a good understanding of what it needs. And then we're just adding on top of this. So under here, we've got doctor names, obviously replacing that with first name, or maybe want to do something else, but we'll just type first name and we can just type in, this is the first name of the caller, and it's pretty smart. It should be able to pick that up very easily just by typing something simple like that. And then just to duplicate this, we're going to copy from this bracket here all the way up until this comma here. Just copy that and we can just paste it once again here. And then we've just duplicated it right away. Change that from first name to last name. And this is the last name of the caller. Done again. We can just copy it once again, paste it again. And if we want the location, we can just type in location. And this is the location of the caller. So pretty simple in actually sending information. It's using AI to extract it, so we don't have to do much work. AI is doing it for us. To save button here, format JSON, we'll just format a little bit better for us. And that looks all good. Hit the save button and it should be done. So now to test our function to see if it actually works, we can go ahead and go to make.com. We can hit run once. And this is going to begin to search for our webhook request. And we can trigger that just by going to test large language model. So we can actually test our functions through the chat function. So I might just say, hello, it's got the first message there. We're going to say, I have a flat tire. Sorry to hear about your flat tire. Let's get you some help. First name, how to spell it. So I can just type in Brendan because it's going to have the right transcriber model there. So yes, that's correct. Type in my last name and we'll say yes to that. Confirm. Now it just wants a location. So I could just say near the Big Ben. Really random, pretty broad there, but obviously near the Big Ben, that is correct. And there you go, job request has been sent. Go back to here and here we go. We should have all of our information, first name, last name, situation, and location. So all of that information now collected and sent through to make.com. And so now this just means we can use this information and do literally whatever we want with it through any application. So if you want to have an email sent right now, you can do that using a Gmail module by clicking on the plus, go down to Gmail, and now we can just send out an email. We can send it through all of these different applications. If you want to have it sent into Zoho, the CRM platform, if you want to have it sent through SendFox, an email platform, you can do pretty much literally anything anything you want. In this case, we're just going to be using Google Sheets and we're going to be storing this information. And this is really the purpose of the demonstration. Obviously in a real company, you're probably going to be using more of a CRM system to track this data because you're going to be obviously having that sent out to different fleet vehicles. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and get a row. So I've gone ahead and logged into my Google account. You will have to obviously authenticate your account through here. Pretty simple to do. You just click on it and then log into your account. It'll load up with this and then you can go ahead and select the spreadsheet. It just listed out all my spreadsheets in my account and I just went ahead and selected AAA Roadside. That's now connected. I'll go down to the sheet name, which is sheet 1, and then we should see pretty much just a blank set of values come through. And what we want to do is now to start populating our spreadsheet. So I've already created a spreadsheet here called the AAA Roadside Agent. And I could just come through here and add in whatever I want. If I want to add the date, I could do so here. And we're going to do that through make.com. So we're just going to format that nicely. I'm also going to put in the first name, last name, location, situation as well. So now our spreadsheet is formatted. I've got the date, the first name, last name, location, and situation. We can just populate all the information that comes through on a call and populate it into the spreadsheet. So we're just going to go back to make.com, hit the refresh button to get all those new values popping up for the headers. And we can see here, we've got all the information. For the first name, we can click here. And once we've run the request, because we've run it before, we can now see all the variables in here. You will obviously have to run this request to get this information first. If you don't do it, nothing's going to populate and you won't be able to actually do the step. So put in the first name, put in the last name, location, and situation. So that's now all populated. For the date, we can actually do this through make.com. So we can essentially get a date from make.com, which is called now. Now is the current date and time of whatever time this request is being run. The now is not a formatted date, so it just looks a bit weird. You can format it better by using a format date. We can just throw that in there, put the time in there, and it's going to format the date in something that's actually human readable. And we can do that just by maybe copying one of these. We can click in there, year, so we can format the full year, full month, full day, and we can get the hour, the minutes, and then put that into 12-hour time format. Doesn't really matter. That's essentially just a way that we can format that. And then we're done. So we can click OK. We are now good to go with this webhook. I'll hit run once and we'll just go through that again.
Hello, this is Emily from AAA Roadside. How can I help you today?
Hey, you've actually got a broken engine.
I'm sorry to hear about your broken engine. Let's get you some help right away. Can I please have your first name and how to spell it?
It's Jack, J-A-C-K.
Thank you, Jack. That's J-A-C-K, correct? Now,
That's right.
Can I have your last name? Great. Can I have your last name and how to spell it, please?
It's Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
Thank you, Jack Smith. That's S-M-I-T-H, correct? Now,
Yeah,
can you
it.
please tell me? Perfect, Jack Smith. Now, can you please tell me your location or any nearby landmarks so we can send help to you?
Yeah, I'm actually near the Eiffel Tower, just outside.
Thank you, Jack. Just to confirm, you're near the Eiffel Tower, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Thank you, Jack. We've got all the details and help is on the way to your location near the Eiffel Tower.
So there we go. I just went through. Obviously, in that case, if I was responding a little bit differently, it was asking for my last name to confirm it, and then it started repeating the next question. This is one area of prompt engineering. We're going to have to go back into the prompt and ask it to only ask one question at a time. Pretty simple fix. Essentially, once you say that, it'll be pretty good to go. But that's just a good example of these issues that you can get when prompt engineering, some of the issues that can pop up in the obviously conversational flow that's occurring. And that's just an element of prompt engineering from testing, and you'll just find these areas that pop up and you just got to prompt them to fix them again. So that's one of the things you can just add into the notes section. So you can just type, only repeat one question at a time, only ask them one question at a time, and that'll pretty much fix that issue 100%. But our call information did come through. We've got the webhook that has triggered. Have a look at the arguments and we can see all information properly formatted there. Have a look at our Google Sheet. Request went through properly. Go into the Google Sheet, and here we are. So we've got all of our information with the date and time. We've got the first name, last name, location, and situation. We can obviously format this to make it look a little bit nicer as well. But yeah, that's essentially how it works. We get all the information sent through from retail, put it in here on our call. Now, in this case, I actually didn't prompt it at all to run the function after this information was collected because it is already triggered here. So trigger this once the information for the job has been captured. Now it is a pretty good practice to actually add in to run the function in the prompt. So not just relying on it running in the backend. It's more for more complex and nuanced triggers that we want to do. If we have a particular function that we really want to run at a very specific point in time in the prompt, we would typically just write run the function once this information is captured, about right here. And that just aids in getting a more accurate function call. But you can see here, this very simple basic request was able to go through pretty good. If you want to learn more about building AI voice agents, I recently created a 2-hour sort of masterclass on building these AI voice agents where you can learn a bunch about them. And if you're a business owner, feel free to schedule a call with me below where we can discuss these AI voice agents and how we can integrate them into your business.